Welcome to the Political Bridge. I'm Ada. Today, we're diving into a complex and often heated debate. It's about who gets to decide how gun laws work in America. The Supreme Court recently made it clear that the Second Amendment protects a person's right to own a gun. This ruling has opened up new legal battles. The Department of Justice, which is part of President Trump's administration, has started challenging some state gun laws. These challenges argue that certain state laws go against the Second Amendment. This raises big questions about federal power versus state power. It also impacts what gun ownership looks like for everyday people. We'll explore the arguments for and against this federal action. Joining me are Nico, our conservative voice, and Jordan, our progressive voice. We're going to break down the core issues. We'll look at the impact on individual rights and public safety. Let's start with Nico.
Thanks, Ada. The Supreme Court has spoken clearly. The Second Amendment protects an individual's right to keep and bear arms. This isn't a suggestion. It's a constitutional right. When states pass laws that make it nearly impossible for law-abiding citizens to own guns, they're stepping over the line. The Department of Justice is simply doing its job. It's upholding the Constitution. They are ensuring states respect fundamental rights. For example, some states have may-issue permit systems. These systems give local officials too much power to deny permits without good reason. This effectively bans gun ownership for many. This is a clear violation of a person's right to self-defense. It leaves people vulnerable. It doesn't make communities safer. It only disarms good people. The federal government must act when states ignore the highest law of the land. This is about protecting our liberties. It ensures that the Second Amendment means something for everyone. This is a crucial aspect of federalism.
Nico, I understand the Supreme Court's ruling, but that ruling didn't say states can't have any gun laws. It said laws must be consistent with the nation's historical tradition of gun regulation. States have a duty to protect their citizens. They know their communities best. They can create laws that fit their specific needs. When the Department of Justice challenges these laws, it undermines local control. It makes it harder to prevent gun violence. Think about a nurse working in a busy city emergency room. She sees the daily impact of gun violence. Strong state laws, like universal background checks or red flag laws, save lives. They keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. These laws are not about taking away rights. They are about responsible gun ownership. They are about public safety. The federal government shouldn't override states trying to protect their residents. This overreach ties the hands of local leaders. It puts more people at risk. This is a clear case of federal overreach.
Both of you have laid out strong opening arguments. Nico, you emphasize the constitutional right to bear arms. You see the DOJ's actions as upholding that right. Jordan, you focus on states' rights to ensure public safety. You view federal challenges as overreach. My first follow-up question is for both of you. How do you balance individual Second Amendment rights with the need for public safety? Where do you draw the line between these two important goals? Nico, let's start with you.
The balance is found in respecting the Constitution. The Second Amendment is not a second-class right. It protects the right to self-defense. Public safety is important, but it can't be used to erase fundamental rights. Laws that target criminals, like stricter penalties for illegal gun use, are effective. They don't punish law-abiding citizens. Universal background checks, for example, often fail to stop criminals. They only burden honest people. Criminals don't follow laws. They get guns illegally. The focus should be on enforcing existing laws against criminals. We should not create new laws that disarm good people. When states try to ban common firearms or magazines, they aren't making us safer. They are making us less safe. They remove tools for self-defense. The Department of Justice is right to challenge these overreaching state laws. It ensures that your right to protect yourself and your family remains intact. This is the core of the Second Amendment debate.
Nico, I agree that criminals don't follow laws, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't have smart laws to make it harder for them. Universal background checks are not about punishing law-abiding citizens. They are about stopping dangerous people from getting guns in the first place. Many studies show they reduce gun violence. Red flag laws allow temporary removal of guns from people who pose an immediate threat. These laws are supported by most Americans. They are a practical way to save lives. The Second Amendment is not absolute. No right is. The Supreme Court itself has said there can be reasonable restrictions. States are trying to implement those reasonable restrictions. They are not trying to disarm everyone. They are trying to prevent tragedies. The Department of Justice should not be blocking states from using proven methods. These methods make their communities safer. This federal intervention is out of step with what many Americans want.
This leads us to a crucial point. Nico, you argue that the DOJ is upholding constitutional rights. You say states are overreaching. But your argument seems to assume that any restriction on gun ownership is an infringement. You don't fully acknowledge the Supreme Court's own allowance for reasonable restrictions. How do you reconcile your view with the court's stance that some regulations are indeed permissible? Jordan, you champion states' rights to enact public safety laws. However, your argument sometimes downplays the specific constitutional language. The Second Amendment protects an individual right. How do you ensure state laws don't cross the line into effectively nullifying that right for law-abiding citizens? Nico, let's start with you on this.
Ada, you're right that the court allows for reasonable restrictions. But what's reasonable? That's the key. Many state laws go far beyond what's reasonable. For example, some states have strict limits on magazine capacity. They ban common types of firearms. These are not minor restrictions. They make it much harder for someone to defend themselves effectively. The court has also said that laws must be consistent with the nation's historical tradition. Historically, there weren't bans on common firearms. There weren't limits on how many bullets you could have in your gun. The DOJ is challenging laws that have no historical basis. They are not challenging minor regulations. They are challenging laws that severely limit the ability to exercise a core right. These laws don't make us safer. They just disarm good people. This is the heart of the federal versus state authority debate on gun laws. We must protect the Second Amendment.
Ada, I agree the Second Amendment protects an individual right, but that right has always had limits. Even in the 1700s, there were laws about who could own guns. There were laws about where they could be carried. The idea that any restriction nullifies the right isn't accurate. When states pass laws for universal background checks, they aren't taking away guns. They are ensuring responsible transfers. When they enact red flag laws, they are intervening in crises. They are not disarming law-abiding citizens. These laws are about preventing violence. They are not about ending gun ownership. The Department of Justice is overstepping. They are telling states they can't use common sense tools. These tools are proven to reduce gun deaths. We need to look at the real-world impact. State laws are designed to save lives. They are not designed to take away rights. We can have both safety and rights. It's not an either-or situation.
This stress test reveals the core tension. Both sides agree on the importance of rights and safety, but they strongly disagree on where the line is drawn. They also disagree on who gets to draw that line. Is it the federal government ensuring a uniform constitutional right? Or is it states responding to their unique public safety challenges? This is where the rubber meets the road. It's a fundamental conflict in our system of government. Nico, let's hear your final thoughts on this complex issue.
The federal government has a clear role here. It must ensure that constitutional rights are protected across all states. If states can simply ignore the Second Amendment, then it's not a right at all. It becomes a privilege that varies state by state. That's not how our Constitution works. The Department of Justice is not overreaching. It is simply enforcing the highest law of the land. This is important for every American. People should not lose their right to self-defense just by crossing a state line. We must have a consistent standard for Second Amendment rights. This doesn't mean no gun laws. It means no laws that effectively ban gun ownership for law-abiding citizens. The focus should be on punishing criminals, not disarming good people. This upholds freedom and true public safety. The federal versus state authority debate on gun laws must favor constitutional rights.
Nico, the idea that the Second Amendment is absolute ignores history and common sense. States have always had the power to regulate guns. They do this to protect their citizens. The Supreme Court's ruling did not remove that power. It simply set some boundaries. When the Department of Justice challenges state laws, it's not protecting rights. It's undermining states' efforts to prevent violence. Think about the impact on families. They want their kids to be safe at school. They want their communities to be safe. Strong state gun laws help achieve that. They are not about taking away guns from responsible owners. They are about preventing tragedies. We need to empower states, not disarm them. They know what works best for their communities. Federal overreach makes us all less safe. It creates more opportunities for gun violence. This is crucial for the federal versus state authority discussion.
And that brings us to the end of another insightful discussion. The tension between federal authority and states' rights, especially concerning gun laws, is clearly a deeply felt issue for many. We heard strong arguments for both protecting individual constitutional rights and ensuring public safety through local control. This debate will undoubtedly continue to shape policy and legal challenges in the years to come. You can find more information and resources at tpbridgepod.com. Join us next time for another engaging discussion. Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep bridging those political divides.